All right, let me share my screen. Good morning. Let me know if you can hear me well.
We can hear you.
Excellent, excellent. So good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Brown. I am a technical specialist focusing on mixed reality, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to be with you all this morning and introduce extended reality, as well as resources and tools to be able to learn and grow within this space. A little bit about myself. One moment here. A little bit about myself here. Um, I have been in the mixed reality space for several years now, focusing primarily on uh, helping enterprise customers understand, what's possible with this technology, but also being able to excite them on, what are the possibilities in this space. And one moment here while I get to the next slide. All right, here we go. And so, like mentioned, being excited about this space for a while. And when I first was introduced to immersive technologies like augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, which is under the umbrella of extended reality, this was something that was science fiction. People were saying, "Hey, this is something out of Star Wars or Star Trek," and I would say, "No, this is something that is feasible now." And that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And on this journey, kind of with that same sci-fi theme, I think of myself as a digital advisor, someone that is that wise sage that guides customers and individuals through, what does it look like to actually build these experiences. And I often have to ask the detailed questions similar to Yoda, having that grace, but also excited about what's the future. And so I'm looking forward to kind of walking through, what this evolution has looked like, but ultimately empower you with some of the tools and foundational pieces to be able to build what's next today. And so when we think about the evolution of computing, going from mainframes to personal computing, to laptops and touchscreen devices, to now majority of us leverage our computing on a mobile device, the next evolution of computing takes place within immersive experiences, whether it's a mobile phone, whether it's a fully immersive headset, whether it's a device that allows you to see the real world in the digital world at the same time. This is kind of the new wave of computing. And the goal is to be able to build experiences that allow you to go from mouse and keyboard to more personable experiences. So being able to leverage touch, gaze, gesture, speech to interact with information. And so in my area of focus, one of the umbrella terms or subcategories of extended reality is mixed reality, which is the blending of the physical and digital world. And as you can see here in this chart, on one end of the spectrum is the physical world. On the other end of the spectrum is a digital world. And so when we think about the development process, we're either building for a mobile application to be able to augment digital objects in the real world, being able to be fully immersed in a fully digital environment, or be able to have a blending of those two experiences, whether it's mixed reality, et cetera. And so In today's world, there's an alphabet soup of terms for emerging technologies. And so the umbrella term is extended reality. But one of the areas that I focused on is mixed reality. So being able to see the real world as well as the digital world. So that blending. So before getting into all the details of like the building blocks of extended reality, the question really is why? Why does it matter? When we think about that previous video clip, is showing use cases across various industries of why does being able to have a blended experience, overlay of data, heads up, hands free experience. Why is that important, and what value does that have? Because just it's really cool to be able to touch holograms and to be able to play Pokemon Go. But as we think about the world and the evolution of computing, how does this matter to the rest of the world, and what is the value in it? And so on the slide here, you see across various industries, here are the common use cases that we see value in building applications in extended reality. So whether it's remote collaboration, I'm here, you're there, I'm having a problem, you're able to see what I see and walk me through an experience. Being able to have guided step-by-step instructions. I have to build an engine. I'm a novice and I need to remember all the steps. Being able to have a device where I'm able to see those steps or be able to go through a simulation of what that process looks like. Another scenario that's really common is designing and prototyping. And so typically you have to create a model, whether it's a 3D and a CAD software, or be able to actually create actual clay model of something and before actually producing it. Now you're able to have rapid prototypes with mixed reality or extended reality solutions and be able to show value during the building process and get real-time feedback. And so the value, I think, overall that's consistent across all these scenarios is being able to see data in context in the real world overlaid. And so whether you are in manufacturing, whether you are in automotive, whether you are thinking about a retail experience or even a gaming experience, being able to understand what the value is really important before even going down the journey. And here are some of the value gains that were achieved by some of these customers here. But as a developer, when you go into this space, understanding, okay, what problems do you want to solve, and what industries do you want to focus on, is one of the key things to think thoughtfully about. And so before getting into the bits and pieces of building these experiences, I kind of want to give you an example of what is the UI, what is the experience like in mixed reality or augmented reality if you haven't already experienced it. And so I showed the video, which is really polished and something that is by marketing, but I want to showcase what it looks like for me to be first person in a mixed reality experience. Right, so this is me in mixed reality. As you can see, with the touch of my wrist, I'm able to bring up my start menu. And on the start menu, I'm able to see my Wi-Fi, have my various applications. And what's great about mixed reality is, like mentioned before, I'm able to see this 3D menu. In addition to, I'm able to see the rooms I'm in. But ultimately, what brings the greatness to mixed reality is this ability that the HoloLens understands the environment that I'm in. It may not know that's a table or that's a pillow, but it knows kind of the shape and the mesh of these various objects. And so it has spatial awareness. One thing too is you can notice before, if you see little pointers, the HoloLens is able to track my fingers and my hands. And so I'm able to push and drag and drop and move holograms around. In addition to that, I'm able to use head tracking and gaze to be able to interact with holograms and allow applications to know where I'm looking or where my attention is in that particular experience. And so, once again, what's great about mixed reality is the blending of the physical and digital. It has spatial awareness, hand tracking, and head and eye tracking. All right. Another thing that I'm often asked about mixed reality is, hey, on the HoloLens, can I run the same applications or similar applications that I do on my desktop today? And the answer is yes. Any application that is in the Microsoft Store Universal Windows application, you can run on the HoloLens. In addition, you can build your own applications for this device as well. One of the common scenarios that people ask me is, hey, because you're able to use your infinite screen, can you just have screens all around you? And the answer is yes. And so here I have up the HoloLens website as well as our BAM scholarship site. What's great is I'm able to drag and drop, move these around, and scale it to my heart's desire in regards to scale. And so I can have an 80-inch screen, being able to do my Excel spreadsheets or being able to interact with various websites and applications. And so what's great about mixed reality is the fact that now you don't have to worry about screen size or real estate. The actual space that you're in is your canvas for being able to have screens and run immersive applications. What really makes mixed reality come alive is when you're able to use 3D content. So whether it's a 3D model you created in AutoCAD, or whether you have some animation, or whether you're using volumetric capture, you're able to play this back in 3D and be able to get that immersive experience heads up and hands free. And so here on the table, I actually have a 3D version of a young lady who was in the studio doing her step routine. And right now it's very small. However, like mentioned before, I'm able to resize this and make her somewhat life size if I choose to. And I'm going to go to the table. I need to put her back. As you can see, I'm able to see her from various angles. I'm also able to hear spatial sound. So there she is. And so once again, mixed reality comes alive when you're able to have 3D assets. And so whether you are creating it on your PC or whether you are doing volumetric capture like this young lady did here, it's one experience that really makes mixed reality. All right. So yeah, so I hope that was valuable to see. Many of you may have already experienced an experience like that first person, but I wanted to take a moment just to kind of set the stage of what the experience can look like, and maybe some of the things that you noticed within that experience. I was able to be heads up, hands free. I was able to use speech, gaze, my eyes where my head is pointing, gesture. And so when we think about extended reality, the value that it has in the marketplace today, the question is, well, how did I build that experience? How am I able to start building experiences like that? And when we think about traditional development, many of you may have experience building standard mobile applications or applications for Windows or Mac, etc. But when we think about building applications for immersive technologies, extended realities, what's on the slide is a few of the toolkits and frameworks available to build for extended reality, the ecosystem itself today. So whether you're on a AR kit or AR core, so iOS or Android device, whether you're building for a VR headset like Oculus Quest, whether you're building for another mobile device that is out there or extended reality device, oftentimes you're going to leverage a gaming engine like Unity or Unreal. One thing that's exciting is that across the spectrum of experiences, the industry is coming up with open standards to be able to build an application once and be able to run it across multiple devices, leveraging the open XR standards. You may use Vuforia, or may even use some type of artificial intelligence within your applications. And so these are kind of the foundational building blocks that majority of applications that are in the immersive space leverage. One thing that's interesting, which I'll get into a little later, is we've created toolkits to be able to build applications from templates. So some of the buttons, some of the gestures, some of the interactions that are common, being able to just plug those in as a starting point or a template to build your applications is something that is helpful when getting started in the extended reality space. One of the things that I think outside of technology that's interesting to think about is, we have the human experience. So being able to leverage our senses, gesture, touch, etc. We have kind of the computing aspect, depending on what device you leverage, whether it's a mobile phone or whether it's a VR or AR headset. You have the environment. So, okay, am I going to be outside? Am I going to be inside? What sensors does the device actually have that allows me to sense the environment that I'm in? And then you have the actual perception of the individual leveraging the experience. And so, before even building an experience, thinking about design as it relates to spatial computing or computing with 3D versus 2D is fundamental, and it's also very exciting. But at the same time, it takes some practice, but also some intentionality around building experiences with 3D in mind. So some of the fundamental, elements of building extended reality experiences is one, whether you are a designer, whether you are a developer, whether you are a great storyteller, being able to create the story of the experience, whether you're a program manager, whether you are a sound engineer. There's so many different roles and angles that you can start within the extended reality space. And as you go throughout this boot camp, there probably will be breakouts that focus on different areas. But what's exciting is, no matter what your background is, you're able to get started really simply by starting in one of these areas. And you don't have to boil the ocean and do everything, but whatever interests you, being able to say, hey, I'm going to focus on being able to build exceptional 3D content, or I'm going to focus on building augmented reality content specifically for mobile devices, or I'm going to focus on creating 360 videos and 360 content for mobile and VR experiences. And so no matter what angle you come from, some of the fundamental things to think about is, okay, what are the experiences that I want to develop? How can I design those experiences? And then thinking about what are the aspects that are going to be a part of that experience, whether you're including sound, what are the colors and the UI that you want to leverage? What is the size of the assets that you want to use? And ultimately, what are the frameworks or tools that you want to leverage in the process? And so I mentioned this earlier, one of the tools that is available, and there's several tools like this across various platforms, is being able to have a toolkit that will allow you to have the fundamental pieces and be able to play with templates to be able to build experiences out and say, okay, does this UI work? Does this color font work? Does these sounds work? And then be able to build on top of that and be able to leverage that as a foundation. And so the mixed reality toolkit has been out for quite some time. We're actually coming out with a version 3, but this is something that is free, available on GitHub today to be able to prototype and build out applications for experiences across extended reality. So whether it's a mixed reality headset or VR, etc. And what's great, and I think one of the things that I've leveraged kind of in my development over the years is being able to take an example application and be able to dissect it and say like, well, what were the elements that they used to be able to build this experience? Whether it's the 3D assets, whether it's the app model, whether it's what platform was it, Unity or Unreal, or being able to see what the interaction is from an end user experience. I think being able to leverage sample applications is a great way to get started. And oftentimes in hackathons, or as I'm trying something new, I will start with a sample to understand what were the elements leveraged, and then be able to modify it for my learning, but also for future development needs. And so, in addition to that, as you get in your path of thinking about extended reality, whether you are new to XR development or you're a seasoned developer in this space, community is where you learn and grow. And what's exciting about mixed reality or extended realities as a whole is this is an emerging space, and there are lots of communities where you're able to learn and grow, which you're here today. But mixed reality dev days just took place several weeks ago, and all of those sessions are recorded, kind of going in more detail. During this half an hour session, I'm not able to go into the toolkits or be able to show you step-by-step instructions, but all of that content has been recorded. And so at your leisure, I'll share links to this following where you can go and go in more detail around an area that is of interest of you, depending on where you are in your journey. And so, in addition to that, one of my colleagues, April, is a phenomenal educator in this space and has done a journey to XR series, focusing on getting started, some of the things that I covered at a really high level today, but going into the interactions and developing all the different aspects from design to prototype to deployment. And I think this is a really great series that's helpful. But what's interesting about this series too is she also does a kind of a spinoff where she talks to individuals that are in the industry and have various careers in different aspects. I was interviewed on this series, and we're able to share insight on like what was our start getting into mixed reality, what were some of our lessons learned, what are the tools that we're leveraging, and what are our thoughts on career development and growth in this space. And so I think that this is definitely a great resource to follow up on. And I know during Q&A, I'm definitely happy to answer any of those questions, but I wanted to provide you with resources that you can definitely go in more depth following this discussion. When you change the way you see the world, you can change the world you see. Let's get started with mixed reality. And so I know we're almost at time as far as the presentation. And so, at this time, I really want to share my contact information. And so if you have any particular questions about XR development, or how to get additional resources, or what are some additional communities to learn and grow, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I plan on posting a link following today, kind of giving a series of links to resources, some of the ones I mentioned and additional ones. And so feel free to follow me for more content on XR, and specifically mixed reality.
Hello, you can hear me?
I can.
Hello, can you hear me now? Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I want to ask, does anyone have a question for Eric? Any questions? Okay, great. No questions from our end. Let me check if I have any questions online. Okay. No questions also. So Eric, I think that was amazing. Thank you so much for your time and also sharing your journey with MR and also your experience with technology. And if anybody has a question, they will definitely reach out to you.
No, well, I definitely appreciate the opportunity, the time to be a part of the community, and I'm excited to see developers, take the time to go deeper into building their skills. And I think one thing that's important is that we build in community, and I think that as we all grow, we can share our information and different techniques to be able to grow together. And I think that as we think about the future of this technology and it being a fundamental piece of this new term that everyone's throwing around called the metaverse, to be able to have representation of those that look like you, building the applications and the experiences, making it an equitable experience for everyone, thinking about inclusivity, thinking about accessibility, thinking about security and compliance. I'm excited to see you all taking the time to be really intentional about your growth and development in this space. And so feel free to reach out to me. And I'm also looking forward to learning from you all and seeing your projects and your solutions in this space.
Great. So thank you so much, and really appreciate it. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.